These are conversations you have to have before you get involved with people and start messing with their lives and their visions of their futures, y'all. Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel. We're continuing down the path of Reddit posts, but this time instead of r/marriage, we're hopping over to r/marriage advice. I know. Huge difference. The reason I wanted to talk about this particular post is because I feel like it's super relatable. Anyone else in an intercultural marriage, I'm having a hard time figuring out if some of our issues are cultural ones or just different personalities. My 40-year-old husband and I, 39, have been together for 16 years. We met in college. I am a born and raised American from another country. He's naturalized now. We live in the United States. Living in his country is not an option. We have had a lot of issues. Some could amount to us being from different cultures, but I think some are just being different people. It's a huge struggle. I was always interested in his culture before we met, and I have learned his native language. He, of course, learned English when he got here. I often feel that he thinks his culture is more important / better than mine. Holidays, important to both of us, are often celebrated the way he would do in his country. Don't get me wrong, I mostly don't have an issue with that. Okay, well, why would you mention it then? But it's the fact that he doesn't even consider my feelings. I do like his culture's music, but it's not the only kind I like. It's the only thing he ever puts on, never asks what I want to hear. If I were in charge of the music, I would definitely mix it up. I know that sounds shallow and obviously not a reason to separate, but it's a very basic example. Another seemingly petty example, in his country, they eat a certain type of meat for a certain holiday. I've had it and I've always found it dry and blah, but I'll eat it to be polite. Last year, I suggested that we try something different. I said I'd make something in the crock pot that would be nice and tender, but no, had to have the dry meat because tradition.
No honeys, no jam, just to dry.
And it sucked. This year, I'll make whatever the heck I want. I don't want to define ourselves by the culture either of us was raised in. I want to do what we want to do because we want it that way, not because of any traditions we don't both hold. I have traveled and met people from all over, and I see there is value everywhere. It's okay to admit others do something better. I think he would want better, but he doesn't seem to notice or care. It's hard. Can anyone else relate? I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of confused because I was just like, okay, this is an issue, but it's a non-issue because you like it, because you don't like it. Like what is going on? After reading through everything she shared, even though it was here, there, and everywhere, this is definitely a different personalities thing. You're acclimated to certain aspects of his culture. You speak his language. You're familiar with the way that people from his culture live, and it doesn't seem like he is willing to give back to you. And that's the part about intercultural marriages or interracial marriages that really pisses me off. Because when you sign up to be in a relationship with somebody that is from a different part of the world or that has a different background from people that you're used to being around, you can't have this closed off mentality that we're doing things the right way or we're doing things my way. She's a perfect example of what it looks like when you're too accommodating. And I can relate to that because of the dynamic that I have with my husband. I am not Latin American, but I've studied in Latin America. I studied Latin American culture and history when I was in college. I majored in Spanish. I'm fluent in Spanish. And my husband speaks some of my language and he's a bit assimilated to the United States culture, right? So I know what it's like to feel like you are leaning real heavy on one side of the scale, or you're making all of these accommodations for this person that you love. And what are you getting in return?
Nothing! You lose!
That feeling of being suppressed or not being true to yourself is going to continue eating away at you until you've built up this huge reserve of resentment, and then everything is going to go downhill from there, or you're going to have one huge blow up argument. You're going to say things you don't mean. You're going to wish you had never married this person. If you have children, you're going to feel like you're abandoning who you are to live out his dream of what he thinks your children should be. You won't really have any say in a lot of things, and you have to take responsibility for the piece that you're not owning. You You are not, it doesn't seem, speaking up and standing your ground when it comes to things that matter to you. It's not his tradition. It's not your tradition. It's your combined traditions moving forward. You're taking pieces of who you were in those cultures and bringing them together, deciding what it is that you want to maintain, what it is that you're going to switch off on, what it is that you're going to leave behind. And it doesn't seem like you all had that conversation. It also doesn't seem like he's very flexible, period. The only thing that I could see justifying his behavior in terms of wanting things done for tradition in the right way and putting down his foot and making decisions is if he comes from a culture where the man is typically the head and makes all of the decisions, including the ones that are supposed to be made for the wife. If he does come from that kind of culture and you were familiar with his culture and the language, then I'm assuming that you would have said, hey, I know a lot about this culture, and these are some things that I feel like I don't want for us to continue in our relationship. I want to make space for who I am. You teach people how to treat you, and you have taught this man that your voice doesn't matter and he can walk over you like a doormat. Therefore, when he walks all over you like you're a doormat and you get upset, how is he supposed to react? You know, I'm not defending him being selfish, but I'm just trying to provide some sort of explanation for his behavior. I don't want to keep repeating myself, so I'm just going to go ahead and look at the comments and see what the people have to say. The top comment here says, my husband and I, together for 10 plus years, also have very different cultural backgrounds. I can relate, but it doesn't bother me as much as it seems to bother you. Because we also live in my home country, I can understand why he would want to cling to some traditions more. I did too when I lived abroad. Maybe he just feels like he sacrificed a lot to move to your country, and this is something he's not willing to budge on because it reminds him of his home country and upbringing. That's a good point. I completely forgot that he emigrated to the United States. I know it's just an example, but the music is very minor. I wouldn't lose sleep over it. Everyone has their own preference, and if you want to listen to something specific, then play it. Regarding the holidays, are they shared holidays by both cultures? If not, then let him have his way. I get that it's a family experience, but it's his culture. If it's a shared holiday, then I agree he should compromise. If he must have the meat, then make 2 dishes. I would even go further and say, if you're going to celebrate this shared holiday and he's pitching a little hissy fit, tell him he can make his own darn meat. And you go ahead and make your dishes. Divide the tasks and go, you know, I'm going to make these things that we really enjoy from my culture, and you make the things or source or cater the things from your culture. And ta-da, we have a multicultural feast. The bottom line to all of this, in my opinion, is before you get into an intercultural relationship, or if you've already entered into it, before you take the step of combining households, you need to have a conversation with each other about your cultures and how they are going to play out in your relationship and the respective areas of your combined lives. The only other thing that I can suggest, and I have suggested it before, is going to counseling. Premarital counseling is out the window because y'all are married, but I don't think that any couple should get married from different races, different backgrounds, different countries, different languages, whatever. I don't think anyone should get married without having a good, solid year in premarital counseling. You have these kinds of things pop up, and then you'll say they're irreconcilable differences when they're really not. If you love the person enough and you're open enough, you all can come together and make decisions together. What do you think is amiss in this situation? Do you think it's more personality over culture, vice versa? Is there something else that you think is at play? I would love to know what your thoughts are on the situation. As we always say on our channel, remember, with God, all things are possible, and I will see you next week. Take care.